Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Tutor. I am Vikas. Today we will be studying about AWS S3, that is a simple storage service. Before we start, I would like to give a quick introduction about myself. I am currently working in as a cloud developer and have total around 7 years of experience in cloud and data warehouse technologies, mostly Teradata, Informatica, SQL, reporting, etc. Recently, I have been studying the AWS services also, and in my project I have utilized them. I am also an AWS certified solution architect associate. So let's start. So before we start learning AWS S3, there must be certain confusion, there must be certain doubt in your mind that why we should learn actually S3. That is a simple storage service. So in AWS environment, S3 is a place where it is very cost effective to store, to archive your all the files, your data, your photographs, or maybe your large files which can be used for further in your ETL process or any other process. So why S3 is an advantage to the other storage services available in AWS itself or maybe in other cloud technologies. So if you look here, we have three very high important things that makes S3 a good example that sets it apart, and it makes S3 a very, you can say, a leader in the storage service segment. The durability. If you see, the durability of S3 is very high. It's about 99.9999 and up to some digits. It's highly durable data. So suppose you are storing around 10,000 of data in your S3 bucket. So you can assume that over the course of hundreds and hundreds of years, the data won't change, right? You won't lose any data. So the data which is stored in your S3 bucket is actually quite durable, right? Then the availability. So if I say I store some data, some files in my S3 bucket, the data is mostly replicated across three availability zones. I mean to say, if you see here, I don't want to go into that detail in this basic segment. Suppose your data is kept as a copy, only you will see the one copy, but it's automatically backed up in at least three different availability zones within the same region. And each availability zone is separated like they are around hundreds of miles from each other. So suppose if one of the availability zone goes down, your data is still available at any moment of time. If you just have an access to the internet, you can log in via console or the CLI. You can just go and avail your data. Then scalability. When the comes the term scalability, your it's an AWS service, right? So it's highly scalable. You don't have to purchase a minimum amount of like space requirement. You just keep on adding your data and it scales accordingly. And the most important factor is the cost of storage. If you consider other storage services available, in that respect, it's very, very cheap. So it is important to consider all these factors in your project when you are going to use S3, right? Where you mostly use S3 is for backing up and securing your data, or maybe archiving your data for a long period of time. Like suppose you have some logs or some important files regarding transactions, and that you can save for a long period of time, suppose 5 years or 10 years. In that case, your data will be available and it will be intact, and it will be very cost effective solution. Apart from that, S3 offers a data lake capability. It's something related to a data warehouse terminology where you have lots of files dumping, and you can just segregate them, select your big data files and utilize them, right? So you have that feature. In the projects, you will mostly use S3 as a landing zone where you dump your files from your legacy systems, or maybe some other ETL systems from your an on-prem ETL systems, and you'll be dumping some files there. Then further you will be utilizing some services like Lambda or Glue to consume those files, to manipulate them, make some changes in there. That is. Before we proceed, I just want to make it sure that you guys are aware of object storage and block storage, which is very important feature. If you look here, it is a very important feature, right? So before we go and I introduce you to all this lecture here and these different attributes of the console, we should understand the difference between object storage and the block storage. So the object storage is S3 is your object storage. This simply means the S3, the OS, is not having any access of the data inside your files, right? It doesn't care about the data inside a file. The only thing it cares about is the metadata, right? When it was created, in which bucket it was created, that's it. Apart from it, if you see the block storage or traditional file storing systems in AWS, you have like EBS volumes, which are a block storage system where your data is not stored actually as an object, but it is stored in pieces of blocks, right? So in that case, the operating system do have access inside your data. It's not opaque anymore. But the advantage of block storage is it's very, very fast in terms of data accessing. Now, if you see, your S3 is an object storage system. So suppose I have created a bucket here. With a bucket, you simply understand it as a folder. You have an Amazon S3, which is a large pool where you can store all your files here. You can dump all your data here, but that needs to be segregated from others' data. For that, you create a folder. It's exactly not a folder, but you call it as a bucket, right? So how to create a bucket, that we will be checking later on. I have created one of the bucket for the purpose here, and you see the folders are inside the bucket. So we have a test folder. You can again go further and create one more folder and call it as my test. So actually, this hierarchy in the object storage has no meaning. The S3 only understands the main bucket, and these folders within the bucket are just a part of the file name. It gets appended with your file name, so it's a metadata. S3 is not care, it doesn't care about the structure of the files, how you are storing in hierarchy. It simply believes you have a bucket and you store in whatever manner you like. So this is a very important feature that you have to understand before you start using S3. So now let me go and show you how the console works. So you all must be having an AWS account. If you are not having an AWS account, I will suggest you to go and create a free account. The help is available on the net. It hardly takes you like 15 minutes to create an account. You just have to give some details, your card details, and you are done. And if you utilize your console within the free tier limit, you won't be charged. So this is how an S3 consoles looks like. So this is the IAM user which I am using here, and this will be given to you by the administrator, or you can, if you are having the admin access, you should create. I will not suggest anyone to use your root users for creating or doing any sort of activity on the S3 console. So suppose this is my I am user and I have created a bucket here. The bucket is 123 my test 123. Yeah, it's a bit you can say very unique type of bucket name we have to give. This is because even though you create the bucket in a particular region, in a particular availability zone, but still the bucket name has to be globally unique, right? This is how I wanted to say is like, suppose if I go here, I go and create a bucket. Suppose I give my test 1 2, and if I go and create the bucket, right, it will say the bucket name already exists irrespective of which region I choose, because the bucket name has to be globally unique, right? So let me go back. This is the bucket, my test 1 2 3, which I have created. This is the region where the bucket lies. It lies in Asia Pacific, Mumbai. The access, by default, every bucket which is created is having no public access. Like the public access is like unchecked by default. You have to enable once you create. If you want, if you have a requirement like some you are hosting some static static websites, in that case, or you want to do some file sharing, though this is generally not preferred, you can enable public access, and then you can see the creation date time. So this folder was created by me just a few minutes ago before I started this lecture today itself. So this is how the console looks like, and later we will discuss about some other advanced features of using in S3 like versioning, like server access logging. Maybe we will go further and see how to host a static website and etc. There are lots of features in S3. So if you like this video, do subscribe my channel and keep learning. Thank you.